The MCU's Marvel Mutants movie may not be called X-Men. That is the headline on this week's MBE Heroes.
And we're going to kick off the show, John, with this article coming in from Screen Rant. Of course, it is what you said in the headline. MCU's Mutants won't be called X-Men. Boo, boo. I've read this article now, John, and this is based on Kevin Feige's not saying the X-Men word.
Yes.
He said mutants twice.
Wow.
So,
oh my God.
Listen, the headline is more alarming than the actual article, because reading into this, you've got to remember what...
Keep the suspense going for a couple of minutes longer, Stephen. We have to try and keep people here.
Yes.
Just a little bit longer. The sky's falling. It's not going to be called X-Men. Oh!
Yep. Social justice warriors, this and that. But listen, I've had a think about this as well. We're going right back to the beginning with these characters. Kevin Feige and the Disney team and Marvel are going to, I think, this is my theory anyway, is that we're not going to get a full-blown X-Men film as 20th Century Fox did it.
No.
I think what we're going to do is, this is just a theory based on my thoughts, and I think we're going to get the characters all coming interspersed through other films very subtly, and I think eventually we're going to get the X-Men as, you know, a team.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
But I think at that stage, this is going to be a lot of origins stories, I think, is going to come into it. So at this stage, they are mutants. They always will be mutants, but they're not yet a team. They're only a team when they become the X-Men, and that is created by Charles Xavier. So that's my theory anyway, John. When I did read the article, I just thought at first, oh, here we go again, you know, using the word men. It's offensive these days, but reading the article, Kevin Feige, I remember actually when he came out in the panel, and he did say mutants maybe 2 or 3 times, and I didn't really take much notice of it, to be honest with you, because I do regard the X-Men as mutants first and foremost. So,
well, Stephen, there's a strong argument to be made, Stephen, that the X-Men, none of the X-Men movies that we've seen under Fox were ever out-and-out X-Men movies. They were predominantly mutant movies, so yeah. I don't really get that argument first and foremost. He's used the name mutant, and was it at the San Diego Comic-Con 2019?
I think it was, John.
I was during just a random interview, but he used mutant twice. Well, that's what they are. They're mutants. That's what the characters are. Genomes have changed. They have advanced into this highly evolved version of humanity with various different myriads of sort of powers. That's what they are. They're mutants. So I'm not going to get my panties in a right little twist over this. I don't really care whether they refer to them as mutants or X-Men yet. Stephen, I think you've got a point first and foremost. That's the first thing I'll get into. Your theory about the X-Men ensemble movie coming after maybe a 5, 6, 7, 8 year period. I think we may very well see various different standalone characters perhaps appearing in wider MCU movies as cameo roles, and then being expanded out slowly but surely over the obviously phases we're going to be getting, 5, 6 I presume. It's not in 4. So I think that will be something that will definitely happen. We've seen them speaking, I think it was David Harbour, and there was rumours that he could have been playing the Thing from the Fantastic Four, and that he would be making an appearance in Black Widow. So this is something that's floated around previously, albeit we know he's now playing Red Guardian, the Russian USSR version of Captain America. But it's certainly something they could do. I think they could slowly flesh out. I don't think we'll get a Wolverine movie for another 6 years minimum. Give some breathing room between obviously Hugh Jackman's iteration and then the new chap stepped in. But it could be we see the likes of Cyclops, Mystique, Charles Xavier, maybe minor characters below Xavier. And even eventually, as I did say, Xavier there, and then Magneto slowly being introduced into the wider MCU, and then we'll finally get a big ensemble X-Men movie. I don't believe for a minute Kevin Feige and the guys at Marvel Disney are terrified to use the X-Men title. They must have seen the backlash against that horrific line from Jennifer Lawrence in Dark Phoenix, where she said something, and I'm paraphrasing, I don't know if you've noticed, but it's always the women saving the men round here. Maybe they should be called X-Women. They will have seen the backlash against that and realised that is not the direction they want to be going down. They will have seen what happened with Star Wars. Now, I'm not against diversity in movies. I've said it time and again. I always feel movies should be representative of the wider world, and it's a very multicultural and I don't know what you'd call it, I don't know, it doesn't even matter. There's a whole lot
Don't force it though.
Yeah, there's a lot of different people out there, and that should be reflected in modern day movie making, but don't force it, and don't try and ram it down your wider major demographics' throats to the detriment of storytelling.
Yeah.
And they will not do that, Marvel, Disney. But Stephen, they aren't really getting at that here. I think it's mostly speculation. They fear that because the X-Men franchise is, what would be the word I'd use? It's dirty, but that's not what I was wanting to use, but it's the first thing that comes to my head.
John,
It's kind of been dirtied over the years, sullied by poor performances at the box office. They think that maybe Disney will have seen this and they won't want to associate it with the X-Men so soon, so they'll leave it
I don't think
and then perhaps name it something else, but they've worked so hard to get this deal.
And I think as well, from a studio point of view, I think it'd be silly going right into an X-Men film with the whole team there. I think a build-up, very similar to what we got for the Avengers film, where you had from 2008 right up to 2012, you had 4 years in building up to just an Avengers film.
Yep.
Go one further, you had 11 years of a build-up to get to Endgame. I'm not saying this is going to be on the same scale as an Endgame or anything like that, but maybe a mini scale of Endgame where you get all the mutants all uniting to support Charles Xavier, in a greater sort of cause thing where they all just appear, same kind of climatic sort of build up to it. That's the direction I think they might go with this. So,
Stephen, it's certainly possible they could take an 11-year period. They could build this over 3-4 phases.
Yeah.
Because I do know, I have not read many of the comics. I say it time and again, I really have to arm myself with this knowledge, but I don't know where to start. But I do believe Avengers v X-Men was a big story plot within the comics at some point. So this is certainly a grand scale conflict. We could see perhaps these two sides, much like in Civil War, on a grander scale, the mutants versus the Avengers. And it'd take a long time to build that and do it correctly. And if there's one thing Disney Marvel have shown is that they know how to play the slow game and introduce these characters in just the right way, with the right tone, to make it hit with the audiences, make lots of money, and then give us a big bombastic finale after a period of time that gets us all wanting more. So I think they'll do that. I think it will be slowly drip fed out. I don't believe they're scared about the X-Men name. I certainly don't believe they've listened to these social justice warrior nuts who are probably screaming their heads off about X-Men. They'll do it their own way, and I'm sure they'll do it right no matter what, so I don't care.
Yeah, well, we'll move on anyway, John. This is actually quite closely related to what we're just chatting about anyway. And this headline is Dark Phoenix officially ends run as lowest grossing X-Men movie. Disney marketing partly to blame, question mark?
Absolutely is. To blame, Stephen, for me. It was much like what Disney did to Solo last year.
Yeah.
When they had obviously Infinity War. They completely neutered it. They thought it was going to be a flop. With the whole kerfuffle between obviously, I forgot the bloody names, the two guys that done the... it doesn't matter. The two guys that were in originally directing the movie, Lord and Miller, that's the ones. When they stepped away and they got Ron Howard in to do the movie.
I thought you were going to forget his name.
Yeah,
John. You don't forget Ron's name.
Yeah, I nearly stumbled. There was a little bit of doubt between obviously Disney and Lucasfilm over whether this movie would be a success. They never marketed it correctly.
No.
They cannibalised on the toy sales and whatnot. And it was the same with this, Stephen. It was the forgotten child after the Disney-Fox merger. They just threw it under the bus, really. They must have realised it wasn't that great a movie anyway. Didn't really promote it all that well. No. The promotion was terrible. Well, and it shows in the performance.
I think it's maybe a little unfair just blaming the promotion of the film, John. The film itself was so disjointed. I think it was this one I said was like 3 films all stuck together, 3 different types of films. The pacing was all over the place. The sort of continuity of the characters as well. We had Quicksilver coming in at the very beginning and then he disappeared. One of the best characters as well from that group of X-Men.
Was it Nightcrawler? Was the gangly blue guy?
He was decent.
He was the best one in the whole film.
But some of the lines as well, the Jennifer Lawrence one that you mentioned, John, in regards to its content, the delivery of it as well was terrible for such a great actress. The whole thing
that Xavier had done for her.
Yeah, took her in.
Yeah.
But I just felt the whole film, it was as if the actors just didn't want to be there. No. They were just sort of going through the motions. And for the director as well, Simon Kinberg, for him to have that kind of film as his first sort of big blockbuster film as well, the final X-Men 20th Century Fox film, and they give it to I'm not going to say an amateur. He's not an amateur by any means, but,
but he's inexperienced.
He's inexperienced, you know, and the whole thing just reeked. But the marketing for this was terrible as well. I remember the promotion over here in the UK for the people not on the internet. There is people that here, believe me, who use terrestrial TV. I don't know if that's a thing, but this is normal television, but without satellite or cable. And the promotion for that on just ordinary television was terrible. I think maybe it was in the last week before the film's release that we got the sort of promo spots for it. It was absolutely shocking.
Very little billboard advertising as well, Stephen. As I did say, it was like the forgotten child. They threw it under the bus. And we've seen this recently with many Fox movies. I was talking to you, Stephen, about The Art of Driving in the Rain. Again, no promotion for that movie at all over here. It's getting destroyed by the critics. I actually watched it, really enjoyed it. Thought it was a great little movie. Milo Ventimiglia.
Yeah.
Really great film. Another Fox movie flung under the bus. Disney, after this takeover, seemed to have went with the obviously intention of taking the Fox brand and keeping their slate of movies running along, and then they're slyly not doing enough to promote them.
No.
Then when they don't perform at the box office, they're saying, well, we're taking this back, we're taking that back. Fox is getting disbanded, whatnot. I'm obviously heavily paraphrasing, they're not disbanding Fox yet, but they're moving things about, manoeuvring the comic book movies under Kevin Feige's guys because of the lack of success of Dark Phoenix. When in all actuality, it's down to their lack of promotion and whatnot. But Stephen, look, I just, about the movie itself, I agree with you, it was like 3 movies in one. That was down to the lack of experience from Simon Kinberg. They had to reshoot the entire end of the movie because apparently it paralleled another comic book movie too much of the ending, so they had to reshoot it. Surely to God, a guy who's been involved in that frame of work must have realised, look, that's very similar to this movie, we'll not do this. But it shows you the amateurism, like if I can speak, and the inexperience of the guy. And again, as you're right about the dialing in, Jennifer Lawrence has been dialing in the Mystique character for the last 5, 6, 7 years.
Yeah.
So I felt nothing when her character died. But all in all, Stephen, it's just a shame that the X-Men, obviously stint under Fox, has went out with a whimper like this. But look, it is what it is. Onwards and upwards to the MCU side of things. Hopefully we'll get a better take on these characters going forward. Certainly not down to McAvoy and Fassbender and whatnot, and Nicholas Hoult. But
and what will become of the New Mutants as well, John? Who knows? We don't know.
Lord knows.
But
I don't think that movie will ever see the light of Destiny.
Well, that's my most anticipated film of 2018.
2018.
So still waiting.
Yeah.
But we'll move on, John, to something that we'll probably have to wait for anyway, Disney Plus. It's the Loki TV series.
I think we'll get this.
And it's the headline is it says it will introduce new foes now. There's a few mentions in here. You know how this storyline's going to go, John, and I quite like the sound of this. That he's going to be doing a bit of time jump and interfering with major events. Hopefully it's not to do with the MCU's major events. Maybe it's real life major events. That would be quite interesting.
Yeah, that would be
cool. On his way, he's going to be meeting some formidable opponents, according to the actor himself, Tom Hiddleston. And it's just one of these television series I can't wait for. When it was announced, I just can't wait to see this because I think he's an amazing actor. The character is one of the best in the MCU as well.
Yes.
And we're getting that version of him as well, John, that we all loved before he kind of mellowed out a little bit. We're getting the sort of 2012 version of Loki. So what's your thoughts on this, John?
Absolutely delighted, Stephen, to see more information about this TV show coming out. I've said it time and again, perhaps not on the shows, but Loki is one of my favourite characters from the MCU over the last 11 years. You're absolutely right about Tom Hiddleston, a fantastic actor, shown it time and again, really, in various different movies.
Yeah.
He's just one of the old times flinging slang in there. Jesus Christ, I'm having a mare here, Stephen. These lights, way too bright. But he's one of the best villains from the MCU. It's always been criticised about having fairly weak villains. This guy's transcended so many movies. Something I like to see. It was something I wanted to see them do with Mysterio. Sadly, they never did it. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen Far From Home. But yeah, Stephen, I just love that first photograph of him walking down the street, and you have Jaws in the background. Just the feel of the shot, it looks like it's from the time period. More importantly, he's got that lovely long black hair again from the original Avengers movie, and he has the rather dapper looking long green coat. So I just can't wait to see what this character's going to be getting up to. He's such an interesting chap. He's not the redeemed version of Loki we last seen in Infinity War.
No.
He's very much, as you say, is the best version of a character. That just overbearingly arrogant version where he's telling people to kneel before him. And just the antics. I'm very intrigued to see who these very formidable characters or foes are that he will be facing.
Yeah, it's very interesting, yeah.
Because I can't think of who it could be off the top of my head. Perhaps we could see him bumping into his own brother Thor, and perhaps the rest of the gang at various intermittent
we do
points.
say, John, that the purpose of this TV show is obviously at some point he is going to re-enter the MCU's cinematic universe, away from the television series, and this is the way to do it, where he will make that appearance as Loki in
For Love and Thunder.
Love and Thunder, yeah.
Yes,
I struggle with that name, I don't know why.
Yes, Steve, that'd be very interesting. It's a very convoluted way to reintroduce the character back in.
Yeah.
They're not doing what they did with Gamora, just getting it straight out the way. Obviously, it's their foray into streaming. They know that streaming's on the rise just now, so they're trying to capitalise on that with a whole array of different shows, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So this is again them trying to capitalise on that by utilising the storytelling, longer storytelling form throughout a TV show. And then obviously the added bonus of being able to introduce Tom Hiddleston's character back into the wider MCU. It's a win-win for fans. The fans love Loki, they love Tom Hiddleston. The character's going to be getting up to a whole host of very interesting things. He's jumping all over time. One of my favourite things from Endgame was the jumps back in time to the 70s, to obviously the various different movies, different perspectives. I love that. I was brought up on Back to the Future and whatnot, so something that's in my very soul. So if we can get more of that in this TV show, then I'm well on board for that, Stephen. And just seeing this character once again trying to humble himself out and perhaps grow as a character slowly but surely. I don't think we'll see it in this TV show.
No.
Maybe later on when he bumps into his big brother. I don't know though. Who knows?
But it kind of gives you an idea of the time span of the television series as well. If they're going down that road, John, where they're going to reintroduce him into, Thor 4, because we know that is coming out in the next few years. So we might only get maybe 1 or 2 series of this anyway. So who knows? But we'll move on to our final article this week. It's a little bit of speculation and rumour. And 2 and 2 plus 5, 2 and 2 equals 5, that is. Ryan Gosling meeting with Taika Waititi launches Thor 4 rumours. Now, apparently, the two of them are. There was a snapshot of them having lunch. So, naturally, we assume he's going to win Thor 4. It was at the director's 44th birthday. And the article goes on to say that there doesn't seem to be a public history of these two as friends or collaborators. Wow, there's a lot of spies out there. But we do know that Gosling allegedly was up for the role of Doctor Strange in the past. Obviously, that went to Benedict Cumberbatch, and I'm so glad it did. Yeah. I can't think of anyone better. But, it is rumoured that he has passed off any interest in taking on any superhero role. I don't think I'd like to see someone like Ryan Gosling. No offence to him, he's a terrific actor, but I don't think I would like to see him in that kind of role anyway, John. What's your thoughts on that?
Stephen, my thoughts are that what they suggest here, if he is going to make an appearance in potentially Thor 4, obviously Love and Thunder, the potential of him being a sort of a collector or Grand Master figure, obviously following in the footsteps of Jeff Goldblum and obviously Benicio del Toro, that's the way I'd like to see this character introduced into the movie. I don't want him getting a big sizable role because I don't feel like... I like him as an actor. I loved Nice Guys and I usually like most of the movies he's in. I liked Blade Runner 2048 as well. So he can do a wide array of different genres. He was very, very funny in The Nice Guys alongside Russell Crowe. Very funny movie. And we've seen the skits with him and obviously Will Ferrell as well. So I know he's got that in his blood. Certainly if he is potentially stepping on to work with Taika Waititi, then we know Taika Waititi is a very funny guy as well. The likes of Jojo Rabbit and his various other movies. Obviously Thor Ragnarok was incredibly funny in parts. So I think the two can mesh well together. I certainly think they've got the potential to be friends if they aren't friends already. If the little spies haven't seen them out and about drinking a coffee in the Hollywood Boulevard or whatnot, then perhaps they aren't friends, but maybe they will be after they work on 4-4. I'd like to see him come in. A long story short, Stephen, as a Grand Master sort of a figure. Periphery, small part figure with a memorable appearance who will perhaps overshadow certain elements of the story.
Kind of open up the sort of question of, these formidable actors that, live in our times that we don't want to see in the MCU, the likes of the Brad Pitts Leonardo DiCaprio's. You know, that some, you know, is
Leo was asked recently
Yeah.
whether he was ever approached for a comic book movie or whether he would want to star in it. I don't think he gave a very committal
No,
answer.
I don't think so either, John. I think
Brad's been in one, I
sometimes the likes of Robert Redford,
Yeah.
you know, I think he was utilised in the correct way. Someone like Robert Redford, a legendary actor, can sometimes overshadow the sort of grand scheme of things, but given the right role, it could work.
Yeah, it could, Stephen. Robert Redford again is another example of how you perhaps utilise a bigger name actor
Yeah.
and bring them in a way where they're not really a superhero figure, but they can step into the world and serve a purpose, maybe as a villainous
Michael
figure
Douglas
or
as
whatnot,
well,
I don't know.
yeah.
Michael Douglas is another one, yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's a whole array. I think we had, I can't recall who the other one was off the top of my head, but yeah, there's potential there, Stephen, to bring the chap in if he wants to come in. As I say, he's a big fan of Ryan Gosling, but we've seen the likes of Mark Hamill having cups of coffee or barbecues with James Gunn.
Yeah.
Nothing comes of it. So it's
Well,
all
something
speculation.
did come of it, and then
Yeah,
there
you
was
get
a
sacked.
little bit of trouble, and then nothing's been said since. But I still think there's a possibility Mark Hamill could appear in Guardians
I love
3
that.
John. I would love it
I
as
really
well.
would love it.
But
Perhaps as a pirate figure.
yeah,
what
it'd
they
be
called,
very interesting.
It was Pirates, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I
Sylvester
think that's what
Stallone's
it's called,
character was one.
Yeah.
Obviously, Michael Rooker. I finally remember his name, Stephen. God damn you, undo. But look, yeah.
Listen, that just brings us to the end of this week's MBE Heroes anyway. We'd just like to thank you once again for joining us, and we will be back again tomorrow with MBE movie news.